What's up, y'all? Welcome to Fury Talks. I'm your host, Seth Fury. So today's guest happens to be co-owner and creator of a women's fitness apparel line that is booming. She happens to be a fitness enthusiast, and more importantly, she happens to be a good friend of mine. So allow me to introduce Miss Liz Holtz. Hello, my dear.
So much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So before I even get into this, let me at least just congratulate you, brag a little bit about your brand. Tell everybody about this amazing Lici Fit brand that you are killing it with. You and there's two of you. There's Sine. Hi, Sine.
Yes.
That's what makes up Lici Fit. And if you haven't heard of them before, I'm sure you've seen their clothes somewhere. They're literally everywhere all over Instagram. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. We are trying. Yeah. I am the Lee, part of Lici, and my best friend Sine. And we've been, grinding and working, and we are so excited that, all of that has finally paid off and our name is finally recognized a little bit.
I remember you guys when you first started. I was actually at the grand opening. And
yes, the launch party.
How many years ago was that?
3.
So in 3 years, I always just think it's just amazing to see people take something so small, just an idea, like literally everybody is wearing your stuff. Beyond that, you guys are creating like a movement. And I think that's the biggest thing, because you have so many female supporters, and usually women get hated on, but for whatever reason, they love you guys. And I think that's more so because it's just more than the clothes. It's kind of like a culture that you're cultivating with everybody.
And that's like what we have wanted to create from the beginning, is a place where women can feel, themselves. They can feel confident, they can feel sexy, they can feel we don't feel like you should just be able to go to the club and feel, sexy and, feel cute. We feel like you should be able to go to the gym where you're working on your body, you're working on yourself to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And you should feel good doing that as well. And
Absolutely.
We feel like there was just a void, there was something missing in that entire, space, because there really isn't like high-end, super cute, matching sets. And that's like what we, really always wanted to focus on, was the matching sets. We were always obsessed with, matching each other and doing the matching sets, but we didn't feel like they fit quite right. So we were always taking them to the tailors to get, little adjustments here and there to fit our curves. And our frustration turned into inspiration, and then Lici Fit was born.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And so while everybody knows you for that, they don't know too much about Liz when she's not on camera and when she's not in the public, just trying to maintain this image. You and I being friends, I know a little bit more of some of the things you went through recently, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So I know recently you went through a breakup. You've been single for how long now?
Since February 3rd.
Okay, so we got a couple months of being single.
Yes.
And how long were you with your ex?
We were together for 5 years.
Okay, that's a long time, y'all.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
We lived together for almost 3.
Okay. How are you doing for starters now?
Now I could not be in a better place, to be honest. I mean, obviously, in the beginning it was extremely hard. You go through so many different emotions. But from the beginning, was never alone. I always had, people around me, my best friends, like Sine was there, my sister, Becca was there from the very beginning. And, just having that emotional support, I really did need that to get through it. And not only that, but just surrounding myself with, other strong females that had been through a similar situation, because the truth is that this happens a lot more than a lot of women are, trying to talk about. And it's, I opened up, on my Instagram story early on in the breakup, and kind of said, because when you put yourself out there on Instagram, you kind of feel a little bit of responsibility to answer to the people that, have been following you for so long. They say, well, where's your boyfriend? What happened? What happened? Did y'all break up?
Did you feel like that breakup, or the fact that you guys were in the public, like, did it make it harder for you to get through the breakup? The fact that people were asking, where is he, what's going on? Because, most people, they just break up, they do it amongst themselves in close circle of friends. But you guys were a pretty well-known couple in a sense where, you know, you guys were like that dynamic duo.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so did that add more elements of
It
difficulty?
was more so just pressure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was more so pressure of, you know, answering all these questions of, you know, what happened. And really, like, what I got was a enormous wave of women that had been through the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I mean, paragraphs. These women would just, the people that didn't know me were sending me paragraphs of just like heartfelt messages that, you know, really did help my healing. Like truly, truly, truly helped my healing. And I feel like, you know, as women, we really do need to be there a little bit more for each other.
As women, as men, I think just in general, whenever you go through a breakup, one of the big key factors is to have a very strong support system. You have to have people that are around you to remind you of how great of a person that you are. Also to keep you strong so that you're not tempted to go back, especially if what you experienced was completely wrongdoing to yourself. You know, I know a lot of people, when they're alone and they have nobody to turn to, they're more likely to go back to that relationship because they have nothing else. They're literally surrounded in this loneliness. So they're like, okay, well, I can be alone and miserable, or maybe I can just go back and I suppose it's better than nothing just because there's somebody there, you know, maybe he'll change, you know, and that's like the most common thing that a lot of people go through. But in your case, you just had that, you know, not only from your normal circle, but you had, like you said, the world was like chiming in being that support system. And it's like, that was incredible.
The truth is that I was that girl who went back a few times.
With the same person?
Yes.
Got you. Okay.
So it's kind of like that feeling of, you know, you can only take so much. And how much are you willing to take, and how much are you willing to really, like, you know, go into that dark place. And it's like, it was kind of like the last straw, you know, and after that it was so clear. And people tell me still, they're like, how are you so strong? Like, you know, it at the end of the day, like, this is your choice, like, and you made such a strong choice. And it didn't at the time seem like a choice to me. It seemed very clear. But obviously, you know, of course you have times where you feel weak and you feel, you know, vulnerable, and you want that person back. You want that feeling back of like love and just like partnership. You know, I went from basically almost being, you know, engaged to being completely single. So it's a huge lifestyle change.
How did you know this was the final draw? If you've gone back and forth before, what made this the definitive one?
This was, I mean, humiliating, number one, on so many levels. I did not think that this person that I was with was capable of hurting me in such a way, because he knew that I was so all about him 100%. It was just like the most shocking news, truly, like truly shocking news. And at that moment when I found out, I realized I didn't know him. Like, I realized I was really holding on to something, and it was really like a you know, the picture perfect relationship. I was holding on to the dream of marriage and kids and all those things that, you know, every woman wants. But if you're not with the right person, it will drain you. It will make you sick.
I always find it easier to get over breakups when I know that I myself did everything that I possibly could. When I feel like I was the best possible boyfriend and there was nothing that I could have adjusted. Let's say I was just, you know, a bad boyfriend myself. Like, maybe I did something to her in the past and she came back and did something similar to me. A part of me could be like, maybe I had it coming. Maybe, you know, like, had I not done that, this probably wouldn't have happened. But when you actually can say to yourself, I was a phenomenal girlfriend in your case, I think that part makes departing the relationship a little easier to handle, because you're just like, what else could I have possibly done differently? You know what I mean? Like, I was cooking, I was doing this, like, I had my stuff together.
You
like,
know, you came over a few times for food.
This took your butt off. So it's like, you know, in my eyes, and I think a lot of people that just know the relationship, they're just like, man, like, that was a great person, you know? But like I said, everybody makes mistakes. It happened. But I think for you moving forward, I'm sure it was a big light bulb to just say, I did nothing wrong.
You are never going to be able to change someone. If someone tells you who they truly are, shows you who they truly are, believe them. You know, like that
Absolutely.
was something that I really did like battle with was, you know, I would see his demons, and I would see it, and I would be like, don't worry, baby, like I got you, I got us, like I will get us through this, you know, like, and it became so much to bear that it truly did like take over my entire like mental, emotional, like everything.
Yeah.
It was really toxic. But at the same time, I was, you know, not telling my friends about this. I was not telling my family about this. So when they were seeing this picture perfect image, it was also because I was keeping so much to myself.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, just eating everything.
And that's not always a bad thing. It can be in a case like when it finally blows up. But a lot of times, you know, I'm sometimes for the idea of keeping your relationship problems.
Oh yeah,
between yourselves.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I am
friends
so not about, you know, oh girl, he did this, and oh, it's like our sex is like this, and da 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 da. I'm like, no, like I am so private with my relationships, like truly, like it's a vault, you know, because I really do believe that it's so sacred and so like beautiful. Like a relationship between a man and a woman or whoever, a relationship period is, you know, just like beautiful, like just sharing that love, like deeper love than you have with anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's your best friend, and you think you know everything about them, and you think that they know everything about you, and you assume that they will treat you the same way that you want to treat them. You really have to know who you are, be comfortable, be confident in who you are, so that whoever comes into your life is just adding to that.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to change you, and they're not trying to make you into somebody that you're not, because that's something that I did.
Yeah.
I was trying to change him, and in a way he was trying to change me. You know, we wanted it to work. There was just so much work that he still had to do within himself that it was going to hurt me.
It was a process that he had to go through, and you being in the middle of it was probably just going to be...
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that,
And truly, like, you know, it's corny, but hurt people hurt people.
My last ex, I felt a lot of the pain from her previous relationship onto me. You know, I felt that, you know, me being a Cancer, I was just like, I can fix this. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, you a Cancer?
Couple little tweaks, you know what I mean? We're going to get things back to right. You know, like, she was beautiful. She had all the traits that I possibly wanted. So I was like, we can get past this, you know? And I invested so much in myself with that vision of changing stuff, you know? And then eventually I got to a point where I was just like, okay, this just isn't my battle to fight. I have to leave because she's not going to change. And I almost felt like my presence was almost slowing down her process, because she had a crutch of somebody that was like just there for her. And I was like, listen, you need to get through this on your own. And I think that when you do, you'll be a phenomenal girlfriend. I just don't think that it's going to be for me. You know, I think that whoever you meet down the road from this experience is going to get an evolved version of you.
Yeah.
And watching her now, I really feel like that's what it is. And I think it's a beautiful thing to see her in her current relationship and be like, man, that's the girl that I was always rooting for. Like, I didn't get her myself, but I don't think I would have ever got her during the time that we were together, because the timing was not it. She had to go through that stuff without me. So, you know, you're 100% right on that.
And that's so true too. Like, I really do believe that every person that comes into your life is there for a reason and a purpose, even though you might not realize, like, you know, I thought this man was going to be my husband. He was going to be the father of my kids. I was going to be with him for the rest of my life. Those things don't always, you know, end up that way. But did he teach me a lot? Yes.
Yeah.
Did I learn a lot? Yes. Like, we don't take losses. We learn, you know, it's lessons.
Yeah.
It's lessons, and you have to look at it that way, or else, man, it'll be hard.
Yeah,
It'll be
'cause
hard.
that's real. Like when anything happens to you bad in life, you have to try to see the positive in it. You know, if you just let that negativity pull you down and weigh you down, you're gonna be stuck in a hole for a long time. Like, you know, take what you learn, take that experience and apply it to where you move forward. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that happens a lot. Like if you look at Diddy and Cassie, they were together for God knows how long. They broke up and she got married like a month later and had a baby. It's like, man, like it's like I feel like deep down she always knew that just wasn't where she was meant to be. And when she identified who that new guy was, it was like, you know, so that's just a perfect example of, as you know, detrimental as it may seem in the moment, you don't know what's on the other end for you. So keep your head up. Don't let that bring you down, you know, because
No.
you're an amazing person. Like, that's not your fault if somebody didn't quite have their, you know, devil's work.
That's
out before
huge
meeting
because
you.
I had so much like, what did I do? What could I have done better? You know, me. Like, you really do have to realize and take a step back and know that it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It has to do with, you know, that work, that those traumas that they haven't worked through, and it's going to keep, you know, continuing on to each relationship unless you take that time to work through your traumas. And like, just because like the biggest misconception is that if you're a man and you talk about your feelings, you talk about your emotions, you see a psychiatrist, that you're weak, that you are, you know,
less of a man.
Less of a man, exactly. And that's not the case at all.
At all. Yeah,
Like, in fact, it will bring you and your partner so much closer because they'll be able to understand you in such a like deeper level.
Yeah. Okay, so aside from the idea of having a strong support system, what would you give to anybody else who's going through a recent breakup? What advice would you give them as a way to just help them move forward?
I mean, you got to dive into what makes you happy.
Okay.
You have to, you know, get busy, truly. Like, I know that there's something on your to-do list that you have not done yet. I know that there's, you know, that project that you've been waiting to work on, that you've been putting off because you've been worried about his da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's really, you know, that time. And that's, it's so crazy, the timing of everything, because you say that, you know, Lici's booming and all this, but man, I'm telling you, like, we were figuring it out up until about February.
I seen that.
February.
No, I was literally witnessing it. I'm like, yo, I don't know if the breakup that lit a match under this business, because I feel like when you started to be vulnerable with your audience, they were like, I want to support that woman. I love her. What can I buy? What can I do? And I don't know if that was all of it. Obviously, the material and the product is incredible. But I do believe a big part of selling is the story behind it.
Yeah.
If they like you genuinely, you know, because you and Sine are like the best of duos. Like, people love you guys.
Yeah.
So they want to support you. And I don't know, it could be a coincidence, or it could very well have been that breakup that got to allow them to see you in a strong, positive way that they wanted to admire. And I don't know, I feel like they just came together for you. And y'all been selling out like in 5 minutes. I'm like, shoot, I need to get me a girlfriend and have her do something.
Get her
to me.
some Lici, you know she'll be fitted for life. It was definitely, you know, that energy of just like, all right, let's go, because I did not take a day off. Like, when I tell you, like, I did not stay in my bed, I did not cry. I did cry. I cried a lot.
Okay.
But I was
As you
around
should,
I was around my girls, you know. I felt like I am myself, like, with my, you know, with Sine, with, you know, all the people, all the girls at Lici, that it just like inspired me to just like go, like just go. And we, you know, like Sine and I we work so well together. We're like yin and yang.
Yeah.
So I did feel like for a while I wasn't the best business partner that I could have been, like, to her, because I was focused on my relationship, and
she was just focused on Lici.
She was focused on Lici.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm now really having to come back and, you know, find my role and find, you know, like, what parts of Lici make me excited, and what, you know, and where I really see myself like growing with this company. And at the end of the day, like, you know, it is me. It's grown from me. And I'm just so grateful and so excited for what's next, because, you know, you really don't ever realize how much, you know, energy you're putting into something until you put it into something else that's positive, that something that you're supposed to be doing, and something that you're destined to be doing, because it'll show you. Like, the universe will show you exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and it will show you what you're not supposed to be doing. And when you get into that groove of what you're supposed to be doing, everything will start to make sense and line up.
I think everything you just said is spot on. You know, once you leave something that's been draining you and you now have that extra energy to put into something positive, that's not only a great way to help you heal, but it's an opportunity for you to see all the things that you should have been doing. And it's not to say that you can't be in a relationship and still have a booming business. You know, like Sine was single, you were in a relationship. I just think it was the type of relationship that you were in.
Yes.
You know, in a great relationship, you guys can both be married and kill it. Like, I know you are gonna be down the road. And I think that's a big part. Like, even for me, when I got out of my relationship, it was crazy how I was so drained. I was so just exhausted. As soon as I got out of that relationship, like 3 days later, I booked my first job and I was like, wait a minute, like, I've been going on all these casting calls, and I booked my first job with my commercial agency. This was years back. I don't do it no more. But it was just a sign. Everything started to come into play. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. Like, was this God telling me that it's time for you to finally step it up and move on? Because, you know, I only have so much energy within myself. I can either give it to somebody else or I can give it to myself, you know? And generally, you shouldn't be with somebody who's going to suck your energy out. Like, they should be fueling you, you know? And that's a positive relationship where you're like, okay, I'm better with this person because they're making me more motivated and more inspired. And if you're not getting that, that's when you're being sucked dry. And I think that's when you're going to start to notice that you're lacking. And, you know, Sinead's like, hey, come on, girl, I'm ready. Like, Sinead has no distractions, you know? Now you don't have any distractions because you're clear, you're focused.
And when I tell you,
y'all are killing
it is like about to pop.
Like, I believe it.
And the crazy thing is, like, we got, like, okay, February was the breakup, and then March we got into this quarantine. It was on my birthday that the quarantine started, the lockdown started.
Initial lockdown. Oh wow.
The first day of lockdown was on my birthday in LA. Yes, wonderful days. And we just, I mean, there were no distractions. I mean, imagine, like, we couldn't even go to the gym.
We didn't go nowhere,
We couldn't go nowhere. So it was like everything, like all of our energy just on this, you know, this thing that we wanted to, that we love so much and that we've wanted to, you know, grow to this height. And we finally have been able to, you know, get there because of straight up like hard work and just dedication and commitment, and not being 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And that's huge because, you know, you feel like, okay, I can do a little bit of this, I can do a little bit of this, I can do a little bit of this, I can do a little bit of this. But when you really focus on one thing, you eat, sleep, breathe it, nothing else but positive results can come.
Now that you are newly single, how do you see things? Yes, relax, fellas, relax, all right? You'd be amazed how many people are in my DMs all the time asking me about you.
Oh my!
I don't know if they see the mutual friends. I'm like, relax. Wow. Especially my one friend. I know you're watching this. So, what do you think? How is this going to affect you moving forward? Like, what do you think is? I know you're probably not looking for a relationship right now by any means, but like, how do you think moving forward you're going to be, like, as a girlfriend? Because what I can say is a lot of times people, when they get out of relationships, I notice how if they don't fully heal, they take that baggage into the new relationship like we talked about. And I feel like a lot of the good things about them, they seem to change. And that always kills me when they're like, you know, let's say I meet a girl and she's phenomenal, right? And let's say she doesn't cook. That's fine. You happen to cook. That's great. But let's just say she's like, oh, I used to cook for my man all the time, but you know, he did me wrong and blah, 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 so I don't cook no more.
Oh, I said to myself, I'm not even making a sandwich for
See,
a man
you
in
can't
2020.
and this is what look, if you want to take off 2020, fine. But I just say, don't allow a breakup to take away all the good things about you. Like, don't be, because, you know, most women, the first thing they take away is they want to be super selfish. They're like, I'm not doing nothing for a man because maybe some guy took advantage of me, or I'm not cooking because he never appreciated it. But there's going to be somebody who absolutely appreciates that. And those are positive qualities that you should want to hang on to.
Of course.
So that's what I always say, don't change the good things about you because somebody else didn't appreciate them. So you keep on cooking.
Of course, no, but
keep making them pies.
No, of course. That's a part of my love language. I cook because I love and I want you to enjoy it, and that's literally a part of my love language. But the difference is that I was always doing these things not for it had nothing to do with me.
Okay.
It had everything to do with making him happy, keeping him around, making him satisfied, and there was no partnership feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's, one thing that definitely would change is just my expectations for the next man that comes into my life. It'll be more of that partnership feel, it won't be like I'm, because to be honest, I grew up, in Texas, and, my mom was a full-time mom, and she was a homemaker, and those were the things that I aspired to be.
Yeah.
I never had personal goals aside from being a wife and a mother and,
Gotcha.
All these things. And when I came out to LA and I started having like bigger dreams for myself, that's when I started to feel like resentment, because I started to feel like I wasn't reaching my fullest potential, because I knew that I was capable of so much more.
Yeah. But your focus was the relationship.
My focus was on making this relationship perfect.
Gotcha. Okay.
So going into anything right now I'm focused on my business. I'm focused on myself.
And that's
not to be selfish, but
that's okay.
I need to be a little bit. But if I'm not looking, but someone were to come along, there would be, kind of like more expectations, I think. It's going to be a little bit harder to, find someone that I can trust and let my walls down.
Yeah.
But I think I just know what I'm looking for now. I think that I know like the kind of person that I want to be with, and it's a lot easier to find someone that you don't have to change.
Yes. Yeah.
Than to be with someone that you feel like you can change, or that you think you can change. Yeah. Or that you have to change. I just truly believe that, the universe will not take something out of your life. It won't take something away from you that it won't replace with something better and more fulfilling and more beautiful and more prosperous. Yeah. And you just have to be open. You have to be open and vulnerable and ready to accept, what's coming next.
I think what you're doing is healthy. I think you're taking a break, you're focusing on yourself, you're rebuilding yourself so that the next relationship, when the time is appropriate, I think will be a very good one for you. Some people make the mistake of jumping into a relationship immediately after they get out of a breakup, because they're trying to replace that void and they're just trying to numb their feelings. And I don't encourage that.
Take that time to really heal yourself and heal your past traumas before you get into something new, because that person that you're getting into a relationship with, a situation with, whatever, they're gonna be affected by these things that you've been through. Even if you don't think that they will, it's just how you project onto, people from what you've been through.
Take note of the things that she said. This is the perfect example of how healing should be done. It's healthy, it's positive, and I'm all for it. All right, guys, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Liz, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, inspiring the world, helping young girls across the world that are going through something similar. I think that was super powerful and important. Please let everybody know how they can find you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I
it.
absolutely loved being here. And you can find me on Instagram at Liz Holtz, 2 Z's in there. And then you can find Lici Fit at Lici_fit, LICIFIT.
That's right, so ladies, if you're looking for any fitness gear, you know exactly where to go. Fellas, if you're trying to do something nice for your girl, hit them up. It's a win-win. Please remember to subscribe, comment below so we can know your thoughts. And remember, share this video so that as many people as possible can hopefully be helped with this message as well. We love you. We'll see you guys next time. Theory Talks. Later.